Hello, everyone. Welcome to Advanced Bash Day 2. How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Pocket?
Good. It's quite cold in the UK, but I'm very well wrapped up, and fortunately, I don't have to worry about cold hands since I am not playing in this event.
Yep, although you might need to in a month or so. We're just waiting for both players to get ready here, and then we'll be ready to get going. How do we feel about this first match here, Cookie versus Rolmont? Both of these players played very strongly in day one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who they beat yesterday.
I'm looking for the bracket.
Yeah, I feel like. Well, I was trying to think whether I should say that their wins were sort of expected or unexpected, but the nature of the bracket we had was it very much felt like any of the players stood a chance of certainly making it to finals and potentially winning.
Yes, definitely. Cookie was our only player that won all three matches yesterday. Rolmont, I believe, only lost one game to Salt. Is that right?
Yeah, just looking through the logs on the bracket, it looks like Salt is the one who beat Relmont.
Yep. All right, looks like both of our players are ready, so let's commence the countdown. Go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, what do we see here?
Okay, well, since Cookie has named their file 4B, I'm immediately checking to see if 4B is on this board, and it's not. This is very disappointing.
Yeah.
There's complete 3 B-sides, use 8 binoculars, use 2 binoculars in 4 chapters. That's still probably not enough to justify a 4B, certainly not early.
Yeah, I agree with that much.
What we do have is get 3 1-ups, get a 1-up in 4A. You could debate whether you want to rush the 1-ups in 1A or leave one of them until 4A to combine those. 15 berries in 4A. Alt-site cassette for an early thing.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of stuff in the way of fast early objectives, and there's plenty of mid-game. I see 1-up in 4A, 6 winged berries, 5 keys, and resort blue heart if players choose to go resort. Also gravelly shaft in that category.
Yeah, and the result play would also obviously be good for 6 winged.
Yep.
And it gives access for 10 berries in Pico 8 later. So playing 3A is definitely an option on this board.
Yeah. However, there is some minor berry synergy that you might lose out on going 3A with 5 berries and 5 chapters and complete 3 B-sides. Or, sorry, 65 berries.
Yeah. it also in the certainly in the event that both players skip 3A first pass, it might be interesting to see if one player chooses to go back into 3A for their fifth chapter with 5 berries and then also clean up the rest of the 3A objectives at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Although there is some fast late game stuff to be aware of, particularly there's Hideka and block on all four sides. And there's two gem objectives, which synergize very well for relying on Summit. Looks like Romot, despite having some stream problems, is going for at least a single one up here in 1A. But it does look like Cookie has a large lead here in 1A. Aha! Get 3 1-ups turns purple.
Yeah, so we are clearly dealing with a little bit of stream delay on Ramot's side, aside from the stream buffering a certain amount. But we do
Yep.
indeed see her get that objective, and she's pretty much behind by most of Chasm, or possibly not because of stream delay, but we're
Yeah.
not sure how long it is.
Yeah, getting a triple 1-up there does lose, around 15 seconds, which would line up to about the length of Chasm. But there isn't a whole lot that Cookie can do to take advantage of this lead right now. There's Old Site Cassette, but that loses about an equal amount of time. Yeah, looks like Cookie does go for it. And quits out. I didn't even consider the 2B play here, but it does synergize with at least a couple of objectives.
Yeah, it synergizes with the binoculars and 3B sides, which I mentioned earlier. And obviously, it doesn't lose a huge amount of time compared to playing 2A, especially if you were already going for the cassette. So this
However,
could
yeah,
definitely work out. It should give Ramot the progress lead back.
yeah, I agree with that, which means that 1-up in 4A and 15 berries in 4A are on Romot's side of the table. If, that outcome happens, but Cookie getting the lead to B-side stuff, and binoculars especially, is important. Romot also losing a little bit of time due to getting some fast berries here in 2A.
Yeah, it's worth noting that Cookie clearly isn't going for the berry objectives. They didn't. I don't think they got 5 berries in 1A, and they certainly didn't get 5 berries in 2A before the cassette.
Yeah. It does seem that we have a pretty classic early game split of berries and B-sides here. The next big question is uh, which of these players will play 3A and which will skip? 3A isn't the strongest, but it's also not the weakest. It has 3 objectives that you can get on the way decently quickly and synergy towards 3 blue hearts. And 6 winged. And Cookie actually exiting 2B right now ahead of Relmont.
And Cookie skips 3A. So yeah, it's possible that we still have some stream delay on Robot's side, but it certainly looks like Cookie is actually ahead after playing 2B.
Yeah, which is definitely a big win for Cookie if they can kind of pull out that 2B synergy without the classic downside of losing a lot of time. And yeah, we see Roma also skipping 3A, so we're down to a 4A 1-up race that it looks like Cookie's ahead to.
Yeah. So a note in Cookie's in Cookie's game on stream yesterday, they also played 2B first pass and ended up still being ahead into 4A because their opponent played a bunch of berries in early chapters. Uh, in that case, winning both berries and B sides allowed them to snowball quite a bit. I don't think this board is going to be as snowbally in that sense, but it is definitely an advantage for Cookie.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it does seem like Romlot has a good amount of stream delay trailing these berries after the tick. Yeah, we see Romlot was actually quite close to 1-up in 4A. Going for these berries here, setting up for 15 in 4A, while Cookie continues to play any percent plus 1-up.
Yeah, I looked away, but was that the first two shrine berries?
Yes,
Yeah,
and looks like we're doing a few more.
so the blue heart I kind of get. You can potentially go back immediately for three blue hearts. I don't agree so much with the those shrine berries. You can get a lot of berries in 4A without losing time to any percent really. And if you find at the end that you have 13, you can come back for those two and lose very little time on it.
Yeah, you essentially lose like a comparable amount of time to getting those berries early on, but you have more advantage or more information on what your opponent's doing, so you can make that decision kind of uh, more confidently. Looks like Rumlot is going for 3 blue hearts right now, which puts her super far behind to Cookie in progress. However, something that we haven't mentioned until now is that there's very little in the way of temple objectives. There's berries in depths, which is not really something you want to do first pass, and there's berries in rescue, which you need to kind of commit to playing 5A for. There is also 5 keys that's worth mentioning. 5 keys can be done in 5A if you want to lose multiple minutes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess the main thing with Temple here is just the late game is decently strong, so
Yeah,
you probably want to just get through it. And actually, I suppose Cookie can just play 5B
yeah,
for more progress to complete 3B sides.
yeah. I expect Cookie to actually play 5B here, just because of the 2B play and because the rescue berry objective isn't super valuable to them. It would be a strong play, but a hard one to make. If Cookie goes for depth berries right now, they'd have enough time. Oh, we see it happening. Rumlock did tick 3 blue hearts, so Cookie knows that they have a lead of a significant amount of time. So yeah, clearing out uh, these berries here kind of both cuts into Realmlock's berry synergy and also makes Temple weaker for as a chapter that Realmlock is going to need to play anyway if she wants to unlock late game. So this is a good play from Cookie. Although struggling with these berries a little bit, just the movement. If you were Realmlock here, Pocket, what would you do?
And I think in Relot's position, something I would be considering would be whether or not I could get away with just going back into 3A. Because obviously that very much gives up progress,
Yeah, but
but you get a few objectives there. I would also, just as a side note, okay, no, I was going to point out that it did look like Cookie was playing 5B because they got the top berries first, which means potentially you can then get these bottom berries left to right and end with the cassette, but then they didn't get the left two berries.
yeah. So it is faster still than going up to the top anyway, but we'll have to backtrack a few rooms. So looks like Romot is going into Temple, kind of calling the bluff that Cookie isn't so far ahead in progress. This, obviously, without any information, is a difficult call to make, but it turns out to be correct because Cookie is losing time getting these depths berries. I guess we'll just have to see if Cookie delays it or Romot tries to go for it. What's this berry for? Is it 5 and 5?
Yeah, I would guess so. If I'm going for 5 quick berries in 5A, then I basically get 1-up berries -1.
Yeah, so what this suggests to me is that Romot is planning on getting these berries and then quitting out and going into 3A. But, oh, Cookie ticks right at the instant that Romot would quit out, so we'll see if she decides to keep playing. Cookie, meanwhile, in 5B. Quit out here? Yes. Okay, so this is the play that you mentioned of going into 3A. What's here for a moment?
So obviously she'll get 5 berries in 5 chapters early on. Celestial Resort Blue Heart, which will not have any synergy with 3 Blue Hearts because she already got that.
Yeah, but it will have synergy with Core Blue Heart.
Oh, right, yeah. I was looking earlier to see if there were any core objectives on the board, and I missed that one. Because obviously that adds additional synergy to hearts, both blue and red. Okay, I don't agree with getting these berries.
Yeah, this suggests to me that Roma is just going for these berries and then quitting out and going back into 5A. Or that Roma suspects that 5 and 5 is super, super contested.
Yeah, which unfortunately it's not. Which is something else I was going to note, that going back into 3A to finish off 5 and 5 is great if 5 and 5 is potentially contested, because you get it much faster than someone who wants to finish Temple and then finish 5 and 5 in Summit. But if your opponent isn't going for it, then you lose that benefit and you're losing out on progress, with the side benefit of getting other stuff that's in 3A. Okay, and now Relon's going for the winged. So this feels slightly scattered, because if you're going for 6 winged, then you want more 3A progress instead of just quitting out after 5 berries.
Yeah.
She could have gotten not gotten the 2 slow berries in 3A start, gotten the winged, unlocked Huge Mess, and then finished off 6 winged.
Yeah. I think this is just slightly awkward routing from Romot here. Clearly going for 5 keys and 6 winged here, and could have played these in depths first before getting 5 and 5, gotten more optimal berries in both 5A and 3A, and 5 and 5 just wasn't contested. Cookie going Summit here and not Reflection. I wonder why that is.
I mean, okay, so getting berries here, so I guess there's 20 berries in 7A. don't know if Cookie's going for that right away. I'm wondering, oh, because 5 berries in 5 chapters is ticked off, so this has to be just progress to 20 berries.
Yeah, or 65, but Cookie is so far behind in that.
Yeah, so that seems a little odd. You do, of course, have 3 gems and 5 gems. So, I mean, with those, if you just very nearly full player summit up to the start of 2K, that's 3 objectives, but it takes a while.
Yeah. And
They will, of course, also finish off 8 binoculars in here.
Yeah. So let's look at virtual objective advantage here. Currently the score is 3-5, despite what the score counters say. Cookie here can expect to get the 2 gem objectives, 8 binoculars, which gets ticked off right now, 20 berries in 7A, and Summit Blue Heart, so that's 5. Relmont can expect to get Resort Blue Heart, Grabless Shaft, 10 berries in Pico, and 6 Winged, that's 4. So Cookie's going to be up and effective here, and I didn't even count Reflection.
Yeah, and looking further ahead, Cookie clearly expects to win 3 B-sides.
Yeah, whereas Relmont expects to win 65 berries. So looks like the major objectives that don't lie on any particular player's route are Dashless Chasm, or Blue Heart, and Berries and Rescue. Those will probably be the linchpin objectives.
Yeah, I think definitely, especially in Relmont's position, I would be worried about when to do Dashless Chasm. Because you have to think about those relatively fast objectives if you're playing an anti-progress route, which she kind of is, having quit out of Temple to go back into 3A after skipping it.
Yeah, for sure. Although here, it is worth noting that Cookie has no idea that Relmont has strong progress in Resort. For all Cookie knows, that 6-winged tick-off could have been the 500-meter berry in Summit. So this tick-off of Resort Blue Heart now would suggest, okay, Relmont's doing a strong anti-progress route, and I should begin to go for some of these more contested objectives. And I expect Cookie to do Dashless Chasm now. Yep, and here it is.
Okay, I'm guessing that Cookie might, after completing this Dashless Chasm, restart chapter to get the cassette, because they went into Cliff Face to get binoculars, so this might be setting up for 2 binoculars and 4 chapters, as well as complete 3 B-sides as well.
Yeah. The clear thing here to Cookie is that late game is completely uncontested by Relmont, so those Summit and Reflection objectives are safe for multiple minutes, so they can spend that time doing things that are more, that Relmont is more able to do. Relmont
Okay.
talking to Theo here, misremembering the objective.
Okay, and she does realize what the objective is and turn on Grabless. And we do see Cookie go back into Chasm for the cassette.
Yep. This does make sense.
So I guess the big question is where Relmont goes after Grabless Shaft, because that's the end of the 3A objectives anyway.
Yeah. There isn't a whole lot for her to do. Maybe 5A for Rescue Berry and access to late game, but this is kind of a tough position for Relmont to be in, even though she is ahead in objectives. She'll be ahead.
I think she has to go 5A for Rescue Berry and late game access, because early game really doesn't have a lot at this point.
Yeah, she's going to be at 8 objectives here. She needs 5 more. Yeah, I just don't see anything without going into late game. Maybe it would have to include 2 binos and 4, which Romot just isn't winning. Let's see, 65 berries, 10 berries on Pico 8, Gravelly Shaft, or Blue Heart, +1. Yeah.
So yeah, we again come back to if she had quit out of 3A at some point to do Dashless Chasm before Cookie, then her position could be a lot stronger.
Yeah. In fact, she wouldn't be obligated to play late game, whereas now she spent the last few minutes playing Mess and Shaft when she could have been making progress to late game and actually be contesting, you know, at least 6-8 or Summit. Nice DCP.
Yep, and indeed we do see Relmot just rushing through 5A as Cookie's finishing up 1B.
Yeah, and this is the time now for Cookie to clean out late game before Relmot can kind of derive any advantage from it.
Yep, and Cookie goes into Reflection, which is the correct play. They already have a lead in Summit. So at the very least, you want to take Kevin Block off the board because it's a very fast objective.
Yeah, so Cookie has 7 objectives here. They need 6 more. And there are 6 objectives in late game. So Cookie can win the game just straight from Reflection and Summon. This is rapidly turning from a bad situation on Relmot's side to an insurmountable one.
Yeah, why is Relmot back in Crossing?
Is this 65 berries? Yes.
That's such an odd decision, though. You have... I suppose Cookie got Depths up, but in general you have little reason to think that Cookie's been getting a lot of berries, because they played the 3B sides.
Yeah.
And gotten progress.
The only explanation that I have is that Relmot has miscounted her win con and doesn't realize that she needs late game. Or that 65 berries is way more contested than it actually is. Yeah, and Cookie taking 3 gems here in the Summit. As long as Cookie keeps multitasking Reflection and Summit, they will be able to win.
Yeah. I guess Relmot also could be worried that between Depths Up and 20 berries in 7A, Cookie would be closer to 65. But
yeah.
It's still just, you can't win without late games, so you have to, I think, take the gamble.
Yeah, you just
if
have
you
to
think
go
there's
for it.
that possibility of losing 65 berries, you have to take the chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Relmot's only way back into this game was really to try to sneak a Reflection or Summit objective under Cookie's nose, which, now that Relmot still only has, you know, Unraveling unlocked, this doesn't look like it's really happening. I blame Dashless Chasm. If Relmot had done that before teching Resort Blue Heart, the information advantage just would have been so much better. Cookie would have been on the back foot trying to get misc objectives, needing to go for something like core blue heart to stay in.
Yeah, I mean, core is still anyone's objective at this point, so Cookie very much could have done that.
Yeah, although not needing to for the link up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is looking like a pretty textbook game here. Romot taking 65 berries, but now doesn't have much to do.
Yeah, this is Cookie's game to lose, ultimately.
Yeah, and the way that Cookie would lose this is to play something that's not late game. Because late game is pretty locked up.
Well, I mean, theoretically, the way Cookie loses this is by spending too much time in Summit and somehow getting locked out of Top Route and Hollows, and then losing the core race.
Yeah. Which, well, Cookie only has 3 hearts, Romot has 4. But looks like Cookie is just saying, okay, I'm not going to let that happen. They should seal the deal. Pretty interesting that 3 gems, 5 gems, and Summit Blue Heart are all on the table. Very strong gem synergy, which is not something that often comes up. Looking back at early game, is there anything that either of these players should have done differently? In retrospect, late game was quite strong. I think I would have liked seeing any player just ignore berries and B-sides for the chance at just winning all late game.
I think a pretty strong play...
Sorry, continue.
I think a pretty strong play could have been... Alright, it looks like we're having a pause. A pretty strong play could have been if either player had just gone 3A first pass, because the 3A objectives, not counting 10 berries and Pico 8, are all pretty fast on the way things.
Yeah.
So someone could have done that first pass and then 4A into late game.
Yeah, that is the fastest way into late game by... Or it's like approximately tied with playing 5A. 5B is slightly faster, but not plus 2B.
Yeah. In that regard, I wonder a little bit if the players almost got baited by 1-up in 4A. Because that being a fast and relatively easy objective, it's very easy to think, okay, yeah, I skip 3A and go straight for that, and then realize that there's nothing after that for you until you hit late game.
Yeah, that's interesting, because very often we don't look at these fast mid-game objectives as bait objectives just because they're so fast. But here, I am inclined to agree with you that 3A is strong enough compared to Temple, and late game is strong enough that prioritizing 1-up and 4A so strongly is risky. Oop. Cookie accidentally doing a reverse there. Oops.
Clearly seeing Cookie having issues with these hollows rooms, which mostly no one knows how to do,
I mean,
except for experienced bingo players.
I do almost all top route in any percent. Just the terrible rune skipped.
Oh yeah, I mean basically that room, and then entering
like
the room after it from there instead of from the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Cookie entering for it? Okay, never mind. Never mind
Okay,
again.
this is a core play.
Wow.
Getting the blue heart.
I mean, Cookie is still going to win this, but I suspect Cookie thinks that Romot still has summit access. Although, yeah, I don't know.
This could be. I mean, yeah. As Creep says in chat, uh, Cookie is definitely confident in their core. But also, they could just be kind of mind gaming themselves.
Yeah.
And thinking that if Relmont didn't have summit progress, she would have called GG by now.
Yep. So, I mean, there's the strength in never calling GG. You can make your opponent kind of rely on their past experience with GG calling to make assumptions that aren't correct. However, this is still just a reasonably strong multitasking play. If Relmont had no chance to get Summit Blue Heart, she definitely has no chance to get both Summit Blue Heart and Core Blue Heart at the same time.
Yeah, especially when she hasn't actually gotten Rescue Berry yet. Okay, yeah. We do see the objective turn purple. But that's likely to be Relmont's last objective, unless Cookie just keeps multitasking, goes back to Summit, and allows Relmont to complete core before they get Summit Blue.
Yeah. And since we are in the final bracket now, tiebreakers not mattering here, so even though Relmont's score is good, she will be knocked out if she loses this game.
Which she will, barring some spectacularly bad execution from Cookie.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm just gonna flat out say that's not happening.
Yeah, this core is looking very good, as we kind of expect.
Yeah. Yes. I should really brush up on my core. My core any percent is pretty disgraceful for an expert.
It's one of those things that it can be easy to just never get around to learning it properly.
Yeah.
And so you end up with a lot of strats which you sort of theoretically know how to do but have never practiced.
Yeah, exactly. You do need to kind of pick your battles in terms of what to keep de-rusted, and the first 5 chapters plus the start of Summit are just so important, and then random B-sides come up so much more often than things like Core, Farewell, Late Reflection, Late Summit, 7B. Yeah, stand by. Stream's still alive because the counter's ticking. It's just the stream sources.
Yeah, and we don't really need to worry about the players cheating while we can't see them because
Yeah.
this was fairly cut and dried. The game was all but over anyway,
Yep. And
and we
there's
do
the core
see,
blue bar
yeah.
tick. Good game. Cookie says core PB. Very nice.
I'm not entirely surprised by that. They were playing it very well.
Yeah. Yeah, that game really just came down to how strong late game was, and Rama just didn't prioritize it enough, unfortunately. So we do have Cookie moving on to our grand finals. And after a quick break, we'll be back with the second game of our semifinals, which is Salt versus Morikanda. We'll be back soon. Hello everyone, we're back with game 2 of our semifinals, Salt versus Moraconda. We'll be ready to go briefly. Shortly. Does briefly work there?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think we probably understood what you meant.
Yeah. So, the interesting part about this bracket format is that it's possible for players to play the same matchup again in semifinals. So, Cookie versus Romont and Salt versus Moraconda did both happen yesterday. No, never mind. That wouldn't make any sense. Salt and Romont played, and Cookie and Moraconda played. Misinformation, don't mind me. Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. Okay, moving on. I think both players are ready, so let's commence the countdown. And they're off. Yeah, I did that personally to attack you, Jax. I'm sorry. What do we see on the board?
Okay. All Bears in Chasm is generally not a first pass thing. Alt-type Cassette, a solid early objective. Okay, 25 berries, 40 berries, 45 berries.
Oh no. Yeah, this is definitely going to look like a berry race board, and I suspect if we'll see players go for first fastball collectibles in 2A.
Oh, we also have 2 seeded berries and 3 seeded berries. And Alt-type Cassette could also go into 2 cassettes.
Hold on. Old site cassette, 2 A sides, 2 B sides, 3 A sides, 3 B sides, 5 hearts, 6 hearts. 1 Bino in 5 chapters. And berries into the core.
Yeah, okay, so this board is just pick your synergy.
Yeah. This is a very insane board. Late game isn't even that weak. There's what, 5 Binos in Summit, Grabless Hollows, 6B, 2K berries, 3K berries, Reflection Cutscene, and Hollows. There's like 3 very strong paths you could take on this board. Let me tell you, I wouldn't want to play this board in a semi-final situation, though.
Okay, it looks like Mora is going for berries, Salt is not.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what Salt does go for. But
Yep. So this...
Mora is probably going for the berry synergy.
Yeah. As mentioned before, this immediately sets up Mora for 5 berries in 4 chapters, and 25 berries with more down the road. Salt, we'll have to see what he ends up going for.
Okay, actually, Salt is getting some berries, but I guess maybe he's purely thinking about 5 berries in 4 chapters and not the larger berry totals.
Yeah.
Whereas Mara is committing more to those.
Yeah, slightly more, getting 7 berries here instead of... How many did Salt get? Did Salt get 5?
I think Salt... I saw Salt with 4, but he might have had 1 more that hadn't collected yet. And Mara's leaving with 8. Yeah, no, 4.
Yep. Hi, Richie. Oh, I'm so excited to see how this board plays out. It has the potential to have both players play the same route early on, which could still be interesting, but I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. So between these two players, Salt very definitely has the stronger execution, but Mara can do funny things with routing.
Yeah. We saw a bit of that yesterday. But okay, Salt very quickly going here for Old Site Cassette, whereas Mora getting this early berry. I'm crossing my fingers for the all collectibles 2A play, or at least most collectibles 2A.
Okay, Mara was clearly about to go for the cassette, but got locked out.
Yeah.
Has been getting all of the berries so far.
It is interesting that Mora was clearly only a few seconds behind in progress to Soul going into the cassette, despite getting more berries than 1A.
Yeah, and as noted, Salt has generally better execution, so we would normally expect him to be ahead, especially if he's getting less collectibles. But Mara's keeping up pretty well thus far.
Yeah. Mara actually skipping 1 berry into a start. So just going for the faster one.
Yeah, okay, so this is not a play for collectibles 2A, just for berry synergy.
Yeah, well, Mara would need to come back for the blue heart set anyway. Did Salt get the seeded berry? I didn't see.
Yes.
Okay. And also a couple of rooms ahead here, so if Salt decides to skip 3A, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do that, he would be on track to win 2 seeded berry.
Yeah, actually, we didn't look at that, but there are no objectives in Resort at all.
But there had to be room for these other crazy synergies somewhere, I guess. Okay, so Salt here skipping 3A and has the opportunity to go for 2 seeded berries and 2 cassettes all at once, which would be a pretty big mid-game swing.
Yep, meanwhile, I'm waiting to find out what Salt's berry count is at now. I'm guessing he'll get at least 1 fast for a berry, surely.
Surely.
Or maybe
Well,
we'll
maybe
have to
not.
wait for the seeded.
Yeah.
Because Mara has got to be pretty close to 25 by now.
Yeah, I think Mora
Jeez.
actually only needs a few more.
Yeah, because I think she hit 20 somewhere in intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, 23, and Salt is at 10.
Yep. So
And in
Salt,
fact, we see those ticks go pretty much at the same time, 2 seeded and 25 berries.
yeah. So Salt needing to take that because he has no idea how far behind Mora is in progress. Mora now knows that it's safe to skip the cassette. May still want to get the seeded berry because 3 seeded is on the board, but either way, progress at least is a lot closer now.
And in fact, Mora skips the seeded, and we're pretty much tied up in progress.
Yeah. However, I do think that Mora might still be going for some fast berries here, which would put her behind, although maybe not. Maybe Mora is content to say, okay, I think I'm significantly ahead in berries here. I'm behind in objectives, so I just need to focus on progress. The main thing that these players would be going for here is jump on 10 snowballs.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that. So, talking about objectives which players expect to win but don't actually have yet is always complicated. There is the potential for them getting sniped, but Mora can be pretty confident that she will win 40 berries and 45 berries further into the game.
Yeah.
And the way things are going, we have to assume she's also going to get 5 berries and 4 chapters, because Salt only got 4 berries in 1A. And I
for sure.
don't think he's going to have time to go back for that, even if he can overtake Mora in progress, which he's actually not doing, because he had some slight moments at the end of Shrine.
Yep.
While Mora just took a slower but safer strat. Okay, overtakes on second blocklist.
Yeah, I mean, that's just gonna happen. Second blocklist is such a polarizing strat in Bingo because it saves a decent amount in a chapter that is relatively progress heavy, but is still a super difficult strat. And actually, Mora takes the lead back with some lead movement here. I guess we'll see if either of these players go for stunning snowballs. It is a contested objective here, but it loses like 30 seconds. It's not a short objective, so Mora actually leading it for now.
And Salt leaving it as well. I definitely agree with that. On both players.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm interested to see what Salt is going to do next. Because alt-site cassettes, 2 cassettes, 2 seeded berries the cassettes is a little bit of some of the synergy we were pointing out, but it's not one of the big synergies. He's basically just been playing progress with some fast objectives along the way.
Yeah.
Whereas Mora has clearly identified the berry progress and pursuing that aggressively.
Yeah. You know what? I assumed that Salt, maybe not with these deaths, but Salt might have thought that he was ahead, that Mora was still committing to berry strongly, and I wonder if he'll continue to go into Temple, go for the double synergy of Grabless Unraveling and Unraveling Berry, and be surprised when he gets locked out. Although Mora going for 5 berries here will spoil the surprise. Wow. Yep, there's the 5 berries and 4 tick off. And progress is very close again. Banger game so far. I've always loved how much of a mind game objective Jump on 10 Snowballs has become. Just a couple years ago, it used to be, the rushiest of progress objectives. People would do it first pass every time, even though it is decently slow. Now, it's pretty rare for people to go for it first pass, and it turns into this game of chicken of I dare my opponent to leave Jump on 10 Snowballs for a little bit longer. Like, what's the harm in that, right? I've had games against Jax where Jump on 10 Snowballs wasn't ticked until Summit, even though both of us played for it. Oh, Mara ticking 3-seeded even though she skipped the seeded berry in 4A. Unfortunately, it does go purple. Either player going for Unraveling? That's interesting, although the B-side synergy as well as 1 Bino in 5 chapters is tempting. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Okay, no. It looked like Salt was going back, presumably to go to Unraveling, but then he quit out to 5B. And yeah, I was about to point out that Mora wouldn't be able to get 3-seeded because she skipped the 4A seeded and then she ticked it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, easy mistake to make. Seeded berries are things that like most players do a first pass, so forgetting that you didn't do that is, you know, reasonable.
And yeah, to the conversation in chat, it's one of the definitely interesting things with snowballs is that it's, especially like once the really fast objectives are gone, it's relatively fast, but it has no synergy with anything.
Yeah. There have been requests to add some kind of stun synergy objective for Oshiro snowballs, like core ice cubes and seekers. But leaving some unsynergized objectives does, you know, add to interesting gameplay. More here just finishing out 45 berries here, and we see the tick.
Yeah, and she also grabbed the chasm berries. And okay, she got the cassette, so she could already go 5B if she wanted, so I assume this is instead Unraveling.
Yeah, kind of correctly identifying here that Salt went 5B, so those 2 objectives in Unraveling are pretty safe.
Okay. Blue heart. I guess just for 5 hearts, 6 hearts, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
Especially if she's not planning to enter a B-side anytime soon.
Salt kind of second guessing his 5B play, briefly going back into 2B, and then realizing, yeah, late game isn't weak. It's actually pretty strong, like Jax is saying in chat.
Yeah. So the thing is, Reed, late game is strong,
but it's long,
and neither player is rushing it. But look at the other synergies on the board: 25 berries, 5 berries in 4 chapters, 40 berries, 45 berries, or
yeah,
3 sides, 6
B-sides.
sides, 3 A sides, 3 B sides, 2 A sides, 2 B sides, 1 Bino in 5 chapters.
The 4 berry.
The late game is one strong place to get a lot of objectives among at least 3 different synergies.
Yeah.
Or 3 different big synergies, and also some smaller ones.
Did we accidentally roll a 6x6 board? Okay, so more here, gonna get to 7 objectives from Unraveling. Salt gonna have access to, as we said, 6 late game objectives. It's pretty likely that he doesn't get all of them just because they're so long, but we'll have to wait and see. And so that leaves the misc objectives as kind of the bridge point for both of these players' win cons, as well as B-side synergy, which Salt obviously has more progress towards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Mara's play grabbing 5A Blue Heart does end up working out and allowing her to snipe 5 hearts, at least if not 6 hearts. because that obviously takes away from the B-side synergy.
Yeah. The issue here is, since 3A is so dead, that fast blue heart is pretty much off the table, and Mora would have to spend time playing a B-side or Hollow's heart, 6A heart, to get to 5 hearts. Whereas, or just kind of in the weird danger zone of Salt is making progress to B-sides. Oop. Looks like Mora having a little bit of controller battery warnings.
Okay, Mora quits out of 5A, so late game remains uncontested for Salt, and she's going into 1B.
Okay. This definitely is a... Oh yeah, turn off grab list. This definitely is a, aggressive hearts play. It'll be risky, but since Salt is going for reflection here, Mora has a bit of time to get this done.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mora wants 1 Bino in 5. If Salt goes for it, then he wins it. 1B will get Mora up to 1 Bino in 4 chapters.
This is actually Salt's 5th Bino here in 6A.
Oh, well, no. Mora can go back to 4A after this 1B Bino to get 1 Bino in 4 chapters. And she quits out, so I think she's pretty clearly thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not Salt immediately goes for the Binos.
Well, Salt only needs 1 Bino, right? Because he has 2A, 4A, 5A, 5B, and he's in a chapter with another one.
I mean, sometimes people forget about this Bino.
Yeah, guess we'll find out. Okay, yeah. Did not forget. There's the...
Yeah, it goes purple. And it looks like... Okay, Salt is going for the blue heart. So this is for 5 hearts, 6 hearts, and core access.
Yep. Interesting. So this would be one of 2 slow blue hearts to go for, but Salt already has a B-side. So 5 hearts is accessible with 1A, 2A, 4A blue hearts.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mora has gone to 5B. Presumably, she was initially hoping to win 1 Bino in 5 chapters, got locked out, but there's still... So, this is obviously slower for her to access late game than if she just finished 5A from Search, but it has synergy with hearts and B-sides. So we'll have to see how it works out.
Yeah, we see Salt remembering 2 of the 4 torch codes, but needing to look up the other 2. Oh, I wonder... Okay, so this blue heart here does set Salt up at least slightly for all collectibles in 2A. I wonder if we'll see that at some point soon. Although, late game is just so much stronger.
Yeah, that's... It's interesting that Mora has a lot more of the collectibles in 2A because she got so many berries early on. But for the purposes of actually getting the objective, Salt is possibly ahead?
Yeah. Society...
Because Mora didn't get the slow berries at the end of intervention. She didn't get the last berry at start. She didn't get the heart or cassette. So she still has to replay basically the entire chapter to actually get all collectibles.
Yeah. Society, if you could access the last 2 berries of intervention from Awake. That objective would be so much nicer.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically at least part of why I have in the past ended up talking myself into playing all collectibles in 2A first pass, which, to be fair, I won those games, but it was still questionable. Because all berries in start, I think, was on the board, and then I figure, well, these intervention berries are fast, and then you got the first 6. You don't want to have to replay the entire checkpoint just for the last 2.
Yeah.
Then you've practically got the objective already, so you may as well just finish it.
Yeah, exactly. And it is like a strong objective to delay because nobody's going to assume that you do all collectibles to a first pass, right? We do see Salt kind of getting ahead of Mora into Summit here, and Morin, after finishing 5B, is going to go for 2A sides and 2B sides. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, this also potentially allows her to snipe 6 hearts after Salt got 5.
Yeah, which is a split you don't see very often at all.
Yeah, but in this case, Salt doesn't have another heart that is quick to get.
Other than a third B-side, which would help him.
Well, yeah, but that's... firstly for him it would be a second B-side. And also...
Oh, that's right.
I wouldn't count that as fast.
Yeah, no, you're right. I thought he had 2 B-sides at this point, but I don't know why he would, because he would have picked the freaking objective. Yeah, so... Salt here in Summit will get, 3 objectives here. 2 of them are super late that he can kind of sandbag, but it's definitely not something that he can win the game on just by Summit alone. Summit plus Reflection, he can actually win. There's 5 objectives there, which I guess we haven't really considered yet. I want to see Mora go for Gravelous Hollows after this. Or maybe 6B for the third B side, although that would be a pretty bold play to make. Well, Mora has Reflection unlocked.
Yeah. I think for Mora, going Reflection definitely makes a lot of sense, whether she wants to do 6B or Hollows. She can also get the 6A blue heart for 6 hearts.
Yeah. Yeah, either way, I think Hollows would make a lot of sense for Mora here.
Okay, and I was wondering about Core, because both players are looking pretty good for hearts at this point.
Yeah.
So it was clearly contested.
Yeah, Salt winning this means that Mora needs 2 objectives in late game here instead of 1, which it's going to be tough. It is still possible for Mora to win both Reflection objectives, but since Salt already has a lead there and the cassette, it seems hard. Actually, oh yeah, never mind.
Okay, and after getting the blue heart, Mora restarts to a for all collectibles.
Yeah.
Well, that or she's thinking 2B for 3A, 3B.
Yeah, but
either way, she's not going into Reflection.
yeah, it's just impossible for Mora to win here without going into Reflection or Summon. And this is kind of a theme from last game too, where the player playing early game is making strong plays towards late game synergies, but just isn't respecting late game enough.
I mean, in this particular instance, I think it's more reasonable on Mora's part, because she also loses if Salt just gets Summit objectives and 2A all collectibles.
Yeah.
So she's like that's the thing. Even if she managed to get both of the Reflection objectives, she would still need to win all collectibles in 2A as well.
Yeah, and we see Mora trailing here into Reflection. This is unfortunately just too little too late.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate because I think Mora has made some really good routing choices throughout this game. But like, it's hard to point to a clear mistake that she made.
Yeah, other than just not prioritizing late game enough. She did lose out on some fast synergy-less objectives, including, you know, 4 into the core berry, jump on 10 snowballs, the seeded berries, which Mora actually would have won seeded berries even if she went back to get that 4A seeded berry. Just kind of the plays that Mora was making didn't line up well into the plays that Salt was making. Not that any of them by themselves were wrong. Obviously, if Mora had gone 6B instead of Grabless Hollows here, the game would still be winnable. Well, no, she's at 9. She would need multiple, yeah. No, here's the Grabless Hollows.
She needs Hollows and 6B to win here.
Yeah.
And all collectibles 2A.
Yep.
And yeah, she calls GG on the Hollows tick.
Oh. Both of these games were quite good and defined by late game.
Yeah, so pretty fantastic. So finals should also be very exciting.
Yeah, I hope so. We will have the finals between Cookie and Salt shortly. I believe that they're scheduled for in a half hour, but we might be able to get them a little bit sooner than that.
Yeah, though we definitely will be taking at least a bit of a break at this point. So, because we assume that Salt doesn't want to immediately jump into another stressful bingo game immediately after that one.
Yep, for sure. But with that, we'll be signing off. Thanks for watching, everyone. And we hope you'll stick around for finals. Thank you, Pocket.
Thank you.
Hello, chat room. That's the bingo band today. And yesterday, for that matter. I was skiing. That's pretty good. We haven't gotten much snow here yet, so they don't have many runs open. I think they've got snowmaking like nozzles or whatever on some routes, but most of the mountain isn't open yet. I sure am, Reed. I'm also chilling and killing time. Hey there, Serena Link.
Hi. Hi, chat. How is everyone going?
I like when Crab says Advanced Bingo Bash 7, Day 2, Grand Finals, Cookie versus Salt. I really liked that.
Yeah. It's a very usual message, but it always cheers me up.
Alright, I've gotten the go-ahead to preview some upcoming events. This will be our last event stream probably for the year. We started thinking about some things for January and February. So first up would be January 6th through 7th, Museum of Bingo 3. I'll have information going out about that soon, but definitely start thinking about things you may want to play for that event. And then towards the end of January, we'll do a very similar tournament like this one, but for expert players. So for people who were booted out of Advanced forcefully by the tyrannical moderators of the Celeste Community Events Discord, you will have a chance to play later in January. Players such as Olivia, Dragon, Random Name. You got to prove yourself. And then potentially a couple things around the February 17th date, if that means anything to people. But those plans are less solid, so I will give no specifics. You are playing better than I expected you to be, Cookie. I had you as like a third seed in a group, and here you are in finals after going 3-0 in group stage. What was your favorite game to watch yesterday, Serena Link, as the restreamer?
What was my favorite game? I think Mora versus Creep.
Yeah.
That ended on the Winged Golden with Mora's big brain tick. What was it? It was delaying the 3k orb, but with ticking, I think it was finishing the A sides with a summit finish. Yeah, that's what it was. It was pretty big brain, and it got her enough time to get the Winged Golden before Creep. That was.
Oh
that
wow,
was
that's cool.
Yeah.
You definitely don't see 7A finish very often, but when 3K ARB is on the board, it can be playable. Yeah, 5A sides is usually 4 of the first 5, and then either the last of the first 5 or 8A. 7A is definitely not common to see there.
Yeah, even reflection in some boards could come up.
That one, honestly, might be rarer than 7A.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess it depends. If you get like Grabless, Rock Bottom, and really don't have a reason to play 6B,
Yeah.
that would be the only thing.
Pretty much only comes up if there is a reflection A side.
Alrighty. We will be starting our grand finals shortly here. One, two, three, seven, eight.
That's an unusual one. I guess it was 4A skip and 5B?
Alrighty, players are revealing the board shortly here. We'll get that on the overlay as well. And they're going soon. I'm sure we'll see that come through on the stream shortly. Alright, what do you see on this board?
I see a pretty good B-side synergy. We've got 3 B-sides, 2 A-side, 2 B-sides, 5 binos in B-side, 2 blue, 2 red hearts, as well as some miscellaneous B-side related objectives like temple cassettes, 3B, 7B.
Yeah, I see early here, I see a fair bit of berries. With 10 berries in 1A, I think there may be some incentive to rush for 20 berries pretty quickly. I'm not sure if you'd want to wait until getting to 4A start for that. You may want to just finish it off in 2A. We'll see what these players elect to do, though.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, there's a very good full clear synergy on 4-8 with full clear, all berries in start and shrine.
Oh, interesting.
I think a result skip is reasonable. There's 3 objectives directly linked to resort, but they are mess order. Well, at least it's the any percent order, so it's quite fast. But it's 3B and full clear otherwise. So they're pretty long objectives to get. And we see that Salt opts for berry collects in 1A, and Cookie doesn't. So we should be seeing a progress lead for Cookie, while Salt would get the 10 berries in 1A and probably 20 berries.
Yeah, Cookie goes for winged here, which I think may be a very strong play, because if you can get ahead and get 4 winged and like berries to start a 4A or something, that's good compensation for the berry synergy that Salt may be going for, especially because it's likely to keep you ahead into mid-game, and where there are objectives like Mirror Temple Cassette, going back for Theo and Crossing, maybe even going back for 1A Heart. There's a lot of fast stuff on this board, even if it's not fast to get right now. So this may either be a very back and forth mid-game, or one player collecting a lot of quick synergy while the other gets ahead towards, you know, a late game win con.
And you could get the 4 winged berries with both when a winged, the awake one and the old trail one.
Yeah, I expect we'll see Cookie get the awake winged here. The optional Theo cutscenes is interesting. It forces you to either get to Elevator Shaft or Search. I see Search as being pretty weak, but there is Grabless Unraveling, so you can maybe combo those two. Regardless, I don't think it's a thing we'll be seeing for a while here. Cookie will be getting this cassette. There's that B-side synergy you mentioned. This is pretty good to have. I don't know if I would like to see this now, though. I definitely would prefer to see Awake Winged. But we're seeing a 2B play.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe Cookie wants to play Resort and get 2 winged berries there.
Oh, true.
It's another option, but I don't think it's the best one if you want to play for winged berries.
Yeah, they may have just gotten the City Wing out of habit. I didn't actually see if they even got the Chasm one. So it may have just been, I'll get this 1A start wing just in case, because it's here.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a strong play.
Didn't get Chasm wing. Okay, so yeah, I think they just aren't playing for winged berries, which makes sense. They're just playing B-sides for the B-side synergy and getting progress.
Yeah, we see Salt getting the 2A cassette as well here. I think that's a good play. You know you're probably behind. Might as well get this so you've got it for later. I'm not sure I would like to see getting 20 berries here and then quitting out. I think that would be a misplay. But just getting berries and then continuing should be fine. Oh! Okay.
Maybe Theo in crossing and getting 20 berries?
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing here as well. Unfortunately, has 19 at the moment.
Yeah. The question is, because Salt returned to map without finishing to a start, I think he is intending on playing 2B as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too with that early put out.
which is not completely terrible, but because you're already behind, rushing progress would have been a better decision, I think. Now, does Cookie get the start berries in 4A?
I have to assume so. You've seen so many early techs here from Salt, you know that he's still like way behind in progress. I think not getting these berries would be a huge misplay, because it lets Salt keep collecting these fast early objectives.
And yeah, taking the 4 arb start objective can also incentivize Salt to not go for the clear objectives in Ridge, which leaves the full clear for Cookie.
Yeah, I wonder if we even see a 3A play here after Salt realizes how far behind he is. I don't think that would be necessarily good for him, though. I almost wonder if like a 4B play is good for Salt with 9 binos on the board and 5 binos and B-sides. It seems kind of crazy doing 4B so early in this match. But I think it works.
I think Cookie is going for 4B, maybe? Or just at least the cassette for later, but
Yeah.
having played 2B, 4B closes out instantly the 5 binos in B-sides.
And it does not finish 2A and 2B sides for either player, actually, which is interesting.
Yeah. So Cookie finishes start. Does he return to map in Shrine? Okay.
Probably gets the Shrine Bino, and then maybe goes out. Yeah, interesting. I think he's got enough time for that, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the 5 binos in B-side, and that's, I think, 8 binos total? I think I saw 4 in cassette room in 4A.
They got the Shrine Bino as well. Yeah, so you got 3 in Old Site,
yes, so that's
2 in
9.
4A, and then 4 in 4B. So that's 9. Yeah, this is really strong. And Salt may be tempted to try to contest it too, in which case if he's still behind on it, that's really bad. If he plays a fast 4A clear though, I think he's in good shape. Because then he can contest Mirror Temple Cassette and 4A full clear later. I don't know, as Salt here you have very, very little information, and this is a crucial decision to make.
Yeah. He pretty much relies entirely on a very good read.
Yeah. From Salt, not seeing 4 winged is some information, but it's not a lot, because that 4A start brace tick being pretty late kind of implies 2B. So then Cookie could still be in 4A and just only have 3 winged. Yeah, I don't know what I would make of this in Salt's position.
Yeah. He can definitely still play the game right now, but he has very, very little information. Okay, he gets the seeded berry. I think he's going for 4B, which would put him in a very bad spot.
He may also just be working towards 4A full clear. Let's see. The Vino to me indicates that he's thinking about the same stuff Cookie is.
Yeah.
Okay, what does... Oh wow, we've got 2 binos and 5 on the board as well. That's additional synergy that we haven't even noticed yet.
Yeah.
Oh my. So between 2 blue, 2 red, 9 binos, 5 binos and B-sides, 2 binos and 5, 2 A, 2 B-sides, and complete 3 B-sides, that's 6 objectives that are related to this 4B play for Cookie. So
That's a very strong
if
play.
Salt does them, you know, you can maybe contest some of it. Specifically 2 blue and 2
Oh.
red.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
Does
may be
have the
disastrous.
2 blue hearts that Cookie doesn't have yet, but Cookie is like almost finished with 4B already. So if Cookie gets the blue hearts right after finishing 4B, that's an objective for him.
Yeah, 4A start is pretty, or 4A heart is pretty strong. One thing Salt may get here is Bino information. If Cookie decides to take that, but so far they're delaying. Oh, we see 5 Binos and B-sides. That should clue Salt in that he should quit out after start here. But at the same time, completing 4A is the same length as completing 4B from here. So, I'm not sure if he actually will.
Yeah. And anyway, finishing 4A doesn't even get an advantage for other objectives because for the full clear you're already doing it entirely anyway.
Yeah, having Old Trail with late berries done and having cliff face berries done would be a significant advantage, which is fast to do first pass. But other than that, yeah.
I think Cookie is just going to rush 5B to get the 3B sides, 2 other binos probably, temple cassettes.
The Binos in Temple don't do anything, because there's not 2 in 1 chapter, which is the only thing that's left now.
Oh, there's only 1 in temple? Oh,
Yeah.
I misremembered.
So for 2 and 5, you're starting to look at chapters like 1B or 3B, potentially 6B start or 7A. With 5 keys and power source on the board, that's also viable for 2 and 5. So I think we'll likely have to see Salt make a heavy non-progress play to contest objectives like 4 winged, 5 keys and power source, potentially shrine berries, or Theo cutscenes by playing Resort. He's got options still, but Cookie having enough time to get all of this B-side and heart synergy is really rough for him for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Cookie going for the blue hearts. He will
Yeah, this makes a lot of
before
sense.
Salt finishes 4B.
Yeah, and by now Salt has to know that Cookie did 4B.
Yeah, for 5 binos in B-sides this early, there's no other option than 4B and another B-side, which pretty much has to be 2B in the early game.
Oh no, missing the berry! That's really unfortunate. But gunning here for the winged, it seems. And then maybe heading back into 2A for 2 H-sides, 2 B-sides. Either that or... Oh wait, no, we've got
Winged
depth
berry.
before winged.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But finishing 2A wouldn't be a too long time commitment, I think.
At the same time, there's probably a lot of other things you'd rather do here as Cookie.
But yeah,
So... Like, as Cookie, I'd rather play like 5B to get 3 B-sides and kill 3 Seekers.
yeah, you can get the depth winged berry and go to 5B.
Yeah, what do you even do here, Assault? I don't know how you break this win con, it's super tough.
I guess you play for resort objectives, farewell, Theo cutscenes.
Gotta pick something, buddy. I think 3A is fine.
And maybe 4A objectives remain.
Oh man, actually, Salt sniping 2A sides and 2B sides would be pretty huge by finishing 4A or 2A. I don't know if he'll realize that though. Because seeing 4 wing, like you have to assume that Cookie's doing either 2A or 4A. Instead, we've just got the Old Trail unlock and then quitting out. I do hope from Salt that we see late 3A start berries here, so he doesn't have to replay the whole checkpoint later.
I think he's just rushing to huge mess. Huge mess and 3B probably. Oh, there's also...
Yeah, maybe. To me it looks like...
berries.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Rushing the huge mess any percent order and then getting the shaft berries and Theo. Which makes some sense, but for three Theo cutscenes you still need awake access. So at that point, you may as well be playing 2A? Right? And I hope that's what we're seeing him go now.
That's what's coming.
Nice. This I like. This has a chance, I think, to get him back in the game. Especially if Cookie goes to 2A after 5B here.
Oh, but he is hesitating a lot.
Oh man.
Yeah, he goes back to temple. Maybe he wants to go for unlocking, unraveling, and getting the Theo cutscene, but that's far. That's far into the chapter.
And this indecision here has given Cookie enough time to finish 5B pretty much. So things that Cookie has a significant lead towards at this point is Summit B-side, Summit Cassette, 2 Binos and 5, and complete 3 B-sides, which will be ticked very shortly here. So this is why I think that Salt cleaning up some fast miscellaneous things like 2A and 2 B-sides is really critical. Because if he gives Cookie enough time here, they can just get a couple quick things and then make the game unwinnable for Salt. As it is, I don't know exactly where Cookie's gonna go here. It looks like 7A is their choice. You know, up 8-4.
Cookie is just playing for Summit because it's progress towards objective and waiting to get information on what Salt is doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because right now, Cookie's only way to lose is to get knocked out of some objectives 2 or 3 times in a row. So by waiting for information, it almost guarantees having options open at any point.
So I guess Salt can do this for Theo access and huge mess. Losing out on 2A, 2B sides though will be really significant if that does end up happening.
I mean, Cookie is only ever getting the 2A sides with either 4A full clear or 2A on its own. So it doesn't really have a lot of incentive to complete it very quickly.
I'm just looking at Cookie's win con though, and we've got 5 keys and power source, 2 binos and 5, summit cassette, and summit B-side. That gets them to 12. So now you're looking at, you know, one of the 3A, 4A, or 5A objectives. And then the only thing that's not strictly a 3A, 4A, or 5A objective is 2A and 2 B-sides. That's why I'm sort of focusing on this objective so much. That being said, if Salt's able to get it with 5A, I guess that's okay. I just really wish he was focusing on non-progress here and looking for a way to find 13 without getting Summit. But who knows? It looks like he's still going to win 2A, 2B sides if Cookie's in farewell here. This may end up working out fine.
Okay, so
I just don't know if he has
is
enough
finishing
time.
5A, so this is progress towards Summit and getting the 2A, 2B sides objective.
Yeah.
But he's still pretty late towards a lot of objectives that remain on the board.
Yeah, the one thing that this does do for Salt is it means he may not... It keeps him in the running for Summit. But I don't know if Cookie's going to continue here in Farewell or quit out at the end of Singular. So with Salt potentially being the running for Summit, then he doesn't need both All Collectibles 3A and 4A, which is nice. But it really just depends on Cookie's decision making here.
Okay, we see Cookie is keeping forward in Farewell to Power Source. So this was not only for the binos but also for the Power Source objective.
Alright, that gives Salt time, which is very important for him.
Yes. But now Cookie will not be missing a lot of objectives for the win and will be able to multitask quite a bit.
Salt can catch up in Summit progress entirely here, actually, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, because Cookie has only done 0 meter and maybe 500? I don't
Nope,
even
just
know.
unlocked 500 meters.
Yeah, just unlocked for the binos. So yeah, Salt could catch up in Summit.
Yeah, I think getting Shrine Berries off the board is more important. I do like this.
Yeah. This can secure for a full clear if it comes to race on that objective, because Shrine Berries takes longer than start.
Does anyone know if Salt got the last berry in 4A start?
I don't think he got the last one. He got the CD berry, but I don't know if he got the wind one.
The interesting thing for Salt here is that he doesn't even really have a lead towards all collectibles in 3A, because he didn't get berries there on first pass.
Yeah. Oh, and we see Cookie going for the Shrine Berries. So,
Salt not delaying.
yeah. But at least he knows he's at least decide for the next objective he's going to attempt. Cool.
Yeah, huge mess makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Is Cookie going for Theo cutscenes? Oh, Salt hasn't ticked Grabless Unraveling.
Oh.
I hope he doesn't forget about that.
Yeah. Cookie winning this objective could lose Salt the game.
Yeah, this normally, you know, I wouldn't like Salt letting Cookie get progress towards the 3 optional Theo cutscenes, but because they both don't have Awake, and because Salt has access to the 3rd one here faster than Cookie, it's okay as long as he doesn't over delay this unraveling objective and or forget about it.
Yes.
This does also give Salt a leg up in the 3A race, and we do see a 5 keys and power source tick off. That may throw
However,
Salt off the 5A ascent.
Salt only got his first mess berry, I think, here. So once again, it's not really progress towards the full clear if it comes to this.
Having 2 huge mess sections done though with berries is pretty significant. Saves you about a minute on the backtrack.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we will have cleared the towels and books sections at least. Does not get the heart though, so he will need to clear the chest berries and the heart if he wants to do the 2A full clear.
Yeah, that's rough. You guys rushing this Theo cutscene maybe? Cookie making quick progress through unraveling.
Yeah. Salt better be taking this objective very soon.
Oh, it's gonna turn green, isn't it? Yup, that's probably
Yeah,
the
that's
game.
green. Yeah, because well, here it's just Summit cassette and Summit B-side, yeah.
Yeah. Dang, this is a close game too.
Yeah, a lot closer than I thought it would be, considering what Salt had lost in the early game.
I mean, yeah, if Salt just takes Grabless Unraveling, he's got a lead towards literally everything else on the board. Which is huge. But now, yeah, Cookie just play Summit. Well played though. That was a tough comeback for Salt. And my guess, I don't want to psychoanalyze too much here, but my guess is that Salt was not expecting the 4B play from his opponent, and so he was expecting to cash in on a lot of synergy there. But because it was so strong, it made sense for Cookie to do first pass, and especially because you gave them enough time to go there.
Yeah, because of the 10 berries in 1A, 20 berries, and going to be
Theo and Crossing, 1A Blue Heart. Yeah, I think maybe if Salt just does like 10 berries in 1A and Theo and Crossing, you know, maybe Cookie doesn't go 4B right away, but I think even then, it's super strong.
I think the deciding factor in this game is Salt going 4B on first pass. If he had played 4A with Shrine Berries, maybe, he would have still been in the game. Well, close game anyway. Thank you for having me here on comes.
Yeah.
And see you, everyone.
Thanks for commentating and for your restream yesterday.
Bye-bye, everyone.
I will now be joined by Olivia when she is ready. Yeah, Cookie, if you're still here, Salted Elite does basically everything else except Summit at this point, and just over-delayed Grabless Unraveling. So it's still a very close game until that Grabless Unraveling tick. You just needed one lockout, basically, and you got it. Yeah, Salt is ready, so you can head back to the Bingo Sync chat. Hey, Olivia.
Hello, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. So, got a game 2 on our hands.
We sure do.
Cookie was a 1-0 lead.
For the purposes of seeing Bingo, I would of course love if Salt wins this next game.
Yep, same. Always want to see more bingo, especially in the
Other than
final.
that, I have unbiased commentary.
Of course, of course.
Alrighty, I'll give the players a countdown here. Alrighty. Some fast
Well-
berry synergy again on this board.
Yeah, we've got 2 A-start berries, 25 berries. But then we also have some more progress stuff. Rich Blue Heart, Theon Awake. We have 3 1-ups, 4 berries, 4 wings.
I wonder. So, like, you want some berries in 1A for 25, probably. But then with 3 1-ups and berries in startup 2A, you kind of just want to do a 3-up there. I'm wondering what we'll see these players do. As far as resort goes, we've got a huge mess order, Orb and Pico, and that's kind of it. Oh, 3A Blue Heart as well. Which is important for 7 hearts and core Blue Heart, but I think we're more likely to see players try to get to 4-winged with 2A, 4A, and then Golden Ridge Heart. That seems stronger to me and keeps you a little bit further ahead in progress. There's also a lot more fast berries in 4A.
Yeah. In terms of B-side stuff, we don't really have a whole lot here. Blue and Red Ridge and 6 Binos of B-sides are, I think, the only 2 B-side objectives, plus 7 hearts and 4 cassettes. But...
We do have 3 A-sides and 3 B-sides in the middle.
oh, yes, we do.
Which actually does help quite a bit towards 7 hearts. Makes that objective a little bit less out on its own. But yeah, I don't know. We've got incentive to play late 5A with Search. We've got some fast Summit stuff, so we may see a 5B play to get B-side progress and Summit access. But we'll see. We do see Salt going for 1-ups here. Not going to be able to get a 3-up easily at this point, though. He may elect to just get 1? I don't know. Maybe he's good at keeping berries and crossing. I don't like to do that.
Well,
Oh, okay.
Not quite so much. So not quite gonna work out. But I imagine we'll probably see 3 1-ups and 2A from someone, if not both players going for it.
Yeah, as soon as that first break collected, I probably would have stopped going for 1-ups and 1A. It's just so hard to get 3 at that point. And now you're even further behind with fewer berries. That being said, he's only about half a row behind. Another progress objective that we see on the board is 3 seeded. And stuff like 4 cassettes and 4 A-sides also incentivizes getting access to lots of chapters. You know, Variant Unraveling, 1 key in search, and 4 A-sides really strongly incentivizes a 5A completion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I've not noticed that.
Yeah, 5B you're only getting, you get secret kills faster, but otherwise, and it's the B side, so I think both will end up being viable. We might see that end up getting split.
Both players getting a random assortment of 2A start berries. Looks like they're pretty intent on these 4A progress objectives.
Yeah, interesting that we didn't see either player go for the berry synergies there in the start.
Oh man, Cookie also skipping fast berries here in intervention. Does keep them a little bit further ahead here, but closing the gap definitely.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to notice that while we do have 25 berries on the board, there isn't really any other overarching berry synergy.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not super important compared to on some boards, but
Yeah, you probably want to be comboing it with the berry objectives that these players both skipped already, so it makes sense to keep going here. Ooh, that may have been a race. I didn't even think about that. It looks like Salt started to go past it and then went back up there, but this does put him ahead towards 4A Blue Heart, which I think is fine for Salt.
yeah.
As Cookie here?
missed it, but I assume both players got the seeded in the start.
Yes, yeah. Salt got both left side berries. Cookie only got 1, I believe. And then, yeah, as Cookie not seeing anything from your opponent, getting that winged berry definitely makes sense. Sets you up for 4-winged. Salt should be ahead towards now 3 seeded and 4A Blue Heart. And may also elect to get a 1-up here, but also maybe just getting some fast berries.
Yeah, 3 up and in 4A can work. Go through to the seeded, but if you collect 1, then it becomes extremely annoying.
You need to get all 8 in start actually for a 3-up here.
But there, you're right. I was thinking 2 up. So yeah, pretty tough, especially if you want to get out of fall.
Salt going for berries and dying does make this somewhat of a sink. We'll see if both these players... I expect them to go for the seeded, which may give Salt enough time to still stay ahead for 4A Blue Heart, but this is going to be tight.
Yeah, it's very close. This could come down to 4A Heart stretch.
Oh, and Cookie not going for the cassette. This is huge. I mean, obviously, I understand why Salt goes for this. Blue and red is on the board. But yeah, this is a tight race that you really did not have enough time for. Salt, I think this early game is just sort of defined by going for a lot of things and not quite finishing any of them. Or at least before Cookie was able to. Yeah, Cookie's play today has been really, really strong. Seems to stay composed as well.
Yeah, so Cookie has 3 objective lead as well as a very small progress lead here of about a room. Definitely a strong position. Still got more progress objectives, so. Yeah, I do wonder if we'll end up seeing that 5A synergy you mentioned. If Cookie will go for that, or if they'll just opt to go for 5B.
Yeah, I hope for Salt's sake that he skips Cassette and Seeded at this point and just rushes the later 5A stuff. I think you kind of have to concede that with how your early game has gone. And just cash in on that 3 objective synergy. Who knows though? Execution is pretty important right now. Worth noting that Salt has been making good progress towards 25, so that's something he can cash in here. Maybe going back to 1A start at some point to get 1-ups, which could help even up the objective difference.
Yep, or 2A is an option for that as well, because Dark Fairy is still on
True,
board.
yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely want to go contesting 5A stuff though first. So I think that's where you should know your opponent's going to be. Yeah, Salt about 15 seconds behind here in 5A.
Yeah, Cookie's definitely going to win seeded here. We'll see what Salt goes for. Can definitely catch back up if he goes left.
There's a 3-seated tick. Probably gets the cassette while you're over here. Yeah, that makes sense. That gives Salt a little bit more of a buffer here. Something he desperately needs. I don't know what you do with that as Cookie though. Like, I guess you're making progress towards 4 cassettes, which is valuable. And with no information on where your opponent is, just getting objectives is good. And then we see them go into 2A here. So yeah, this is high value. We'll see
Yeah, I mean, at
for
this
the 3
point-
up.
Salt has the progress lead, gonna cash in on this 5A stuff, but there's not a whole lot of progress on this board. We've got 5 binos in Summit.
Skill 3 Seekers is
really,
also
like,
something you get access to here that we hadn't mentioned previously. And then Bottom Mountain Hollows. So it's sort of access to like 6 objectives, I think. One thing worth mentioning is that Salt does have a significant lead towards all collectibles in 4A. But he's going to need to snipe a bunch of fast stuff to stay in the game, I think. So these next 10 minutes will be pretty critical for those synergies becoming impactful. Oh, did Cookie die with 7?
With 7. Oh, that's so rough.
Were they far enough that they could have been collecting already, too?
Sort of, but they were sort of messing around with the dream block that you take sort of across the screen, and
Well, if they had 7 at that dream block, then you could have just been collecting while on top of it.
yeah, but they accidentally dashed left through it instead of going
okay.
on top of it.
Well, that's a little bit of more time for Salt here.
Yeah, so Salt takes Unraveling Berry here. I imagine we'll probably do Search Key right now. It's just one.
Yeah, I wonder if we... So when we see this 3 1-ups tick, I wonder if we see him refocus to 25 berries and get that off the board. I think that would be a decent play. You could also do that here in Search. It's not the fastest thing, but you are pretty close.
Yeah, Cookie did accidentally. Yeah, he got 2 because he accidentally collected 1 near the beginning. So.
Okay. Interesting. Now Cookie in 5B. Conceding the 5A objectives, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I
going
think
back to 1.
5B eventually makes sense, but I don't think you need to do it right now. I don't think late game access is as important as just getting some of these faster objectives.
I like this from Salt quite a bit. This gets you a cassette towards 4 cassettes, 25 berries. You know you're probably behind towards the 1-ups, so not even bothering to get like a 3-up in 1A start or something. But sniping 25 berries is pretty significant.
Yeah, that's actually huge. How many berries is Cookie at? Would this have been 25?
No, but it's very close.
It's a couple short.
Yeah. And now we do also see Salt's 4A cassette play becoming significant. Because he can potentially get 5A cassette and 2A or 6A before Cookie can get to 4. Hopefully these Seeker kills go quickly. It looks like Salt is trying to get those. Or maybe not. I don't like leaving this objective here.
Yeah, this is not something that's safe.
Yeah, Cookie has demonstrated the ability to get 3 and 5B. You do not have the luxury of leaving this behind. Down 6-2. And maybe you finish 5A first and try to get some other stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, so Cookie's probably gonna snipe stuns here. Come on, Cookie. You can do it. Very sad. I posted a setup for this done a while ago, and nobody uses it, even though
Kill.
it makes it much easier. There they go.
Think in a chapter, Salt. Think in a chapter. You'll be playing 6-day start right now. Oh man, this hurts to see. Start. Yeah, I guess this works. There's a couple things in huge mess. I think Salt is probably underestimating Cookie's progress, and now he does not get that luxury anymore with this 3 Seeker kill tick. So I wonder if we'll see him change attack here.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see a way back into this at this point for Salt. Cookie with the... gonna have late game access here.
Yeah, losing 3 Seeker kills is pretty huge. Now Cookie is ahead in progress.
Getting the cassette here. This 4 cassettes, I guess. Yeah. Which ones? They have... just 1A and 5A, I think? Because Cookie skipped 4A cassette. I don't think they got 2A cassette.
Yeah.
So this will be a decent amount of time.
Salt rushing the 3A heart here, doing towels first. Yeah, Cookie going for cassettes gives him enough time to do that. Cookie's opponent awareness seems really good, or at least awareness of high-value objectives.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Cookie's routing has really impressed me this whole bash. Been very strong.
Alright, we do see Summit. Not gonna lose 5 binos in Summit, that's good. Cookie not getting the 4A cassette directly gave them Golden Ridge Blue Heart and 3 seeded berries. So skipping it I think was definitely a strong play. And now Salt has the 4A cassette but is getting nothing from it. Oh, unless? I think this turns green though. I think Salt's not quite here.
Yeah, this should be Cookie's barring execution issues here.
Yeah. Didn't quite see it in time. Oh man, that's such a close lockout too. Now Cookie going for relatively safe objectives like Blue and Red and Ridge.
You know,
Pick one. Seeding doesn't matter when it's curves. were you starting to say, Olivia?
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay.
Thinking like, what is Cookie's win con here? I mean, you kind of just get random stuff until you're at 13. There's not a super clear synergy left, but you're ahead enough objectives that your opponent
Blue and Red and
exactly have
Ridge.
a super clear synergy to catch up either.
Yeah, Blue and Red and Ridge, 3A3 B-sides and 6 binos and B-sides is pretty tough for Salt to contest. We may see Salt go to 4B after this. But I think, unless Cookie over-delays, there's not much risk in that. Salt is delaying a couple things here. Celeste Resort Blue Heart, actually the only one, but then has access to 1 key in search, 5 binos and Summit. That huge mess order is much easier to get to for Salt. Do they both have core access now?
I don't. Salt's not. Salt actually only has 1 heart.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Salt may still win 6 binos and B-sides. But I think Cookie can get a 6th one in 1B start. So that probably turns green if Cookie hard commits to it. Wait, but Cookie doesn't have 4 binos or 3 binos yet. It doesn't have 5B bino either.
Let's skip. Okay, that makes... Yeah, so I think Salt probably...
Yeah, needing to go back into 4B second checkpoint and 5B second checkpoint means that this can be Salt's, the bino objective at least. And Cookie may actually delay this 4B play now as well. Not sure. No, turn screen. That makes sense. You're out quite a few objectives. Delaying is pretty risky.
Now 1B makes sense. You get 3A, 3B. You get in theory binos, but Salt will probably get there first.
Oh, Salt calls
Salt
GG
gets
here.
called
That's
GG.
fair. Yeah. Rough couple of boards. Cookie made really, really good early and mid-game routing decisions, and Salt sort of just got played pretty hard, I think. Well played to both players, though. A lot of high-level bingo on display today.
Yeah, lots of great matches this bash, and just super strong play by Cookie throughout the whole bash. The Blues did not lose a single game though.
Yeah, very
The whole
impressive
thing.
play. That'll be all from us for today then. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be taking a bit of a break in December, and then coming back in January with our Museum of Bingo 3 and the 7th Expert Tournament. Definitely keep an eye out for that. Follow the channel if you'd like notifications when we go live, and join our Discord for more communication about those events as they are planned. In the meantime, I see a bunch of people playing Archie collab. Should we raid one of them? Or maybe...
Let's see. Yeah, I'd say we could raid Tio maybe.
Alright, here's our final bracket.
for Eugene or...
And well played to all the players in yesterday as well with the group stage. Hopefully this was a nice change of pace for our regular events. I think we'll definitely be doing this going forwards. It seems like a good change for us. Yeah, well played, Cookie. Your routing was very good this weekend. Alright, goodbye everyone. Enjoy Tio's stream.
Alright, have a good
If you'd
one.
like to avoid Archie Clap spoilers, you may want to set this one out.